Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. So you moved to Paris in March 2020. What a time to move to Paris. We all know it was a global pandemic.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, and how did it shape your perspective as an expat?
It was definitely not what I had expected. So I moved, it was about, I would say like 2.5 weeks before the first lockdown. And so I got here and I came because like my husband's French. So I moved here because of him. And we had like all of these things planned and it was like fantastic. And I was, unpacking the suitcases and settling in. And then I was like, everybody's on lockdown and nobody can do anything. And it's like, good luck. But it definitely, I would say, forced me to kind of just like pause and just focus, because I had been building a career and working on myself and back in the States and going on full throttle for quite a while. And so it just kind of forced me to stop, which for me is really hard to do. I am someone that has to constantly like go, 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 go. And so just kind of appreciate the here and now. It really helped me to kind of focus, especially like within that first year when you move to a new country. There's all of these sort of administrative tasks and responsibilities and deadlines and things that you need to do. So it allowed me to kind of focus on that and pause and just realize, okay, like I'm here and getting things set up and focusing on that to set up, the years to come.
Definitely.
For the future.
Yeah, now you're a mama. Talk a little bit about that, having a baby in France.
So that's a challenge. So this is my first child. I haven't had a kid before. I was actually pretty impressed with how everything went as far as having a baby, going through the whole pregnancy in a foreign country. I think one thing that really helped me is my level of French is pretty high. So communicating and expressing myself, whether it's like concerns or questions or whatnot, I'm really, really comfortable in that. So that wasn't an issue for me. And I actually really enjoyed it. So I gave birth in October. I actually gave birth on my 40th birthday, which was kind of cool.
Wild.
Yeah, I know. I was like, we'll see what happens. But it like the whole process was really fun. It was interesting because one of my really good friends back home was also pregnant at the same time. Her due date was a week before mine. And we ended up like comparing notes as far as what she was what she was going through back in the United States, and then what I was going through here, and how the process was different. And it was, I feel like for the most part, quick and, if I can say, painless. I mean, it wasn't like pain-free, but it was pretty straightforward.
And free compared to the States.
When I got the email about my bill, I kind of like cringed a little. I was like, oh my God, I'm scared to open this email. I have no idea what it's going to say. And it was just for my room. It was after insurance and everything kicked in, I only paid 175 euros. And I was actually in the hospital. So here, if you give birth like naturally, like not having a C-section, you're in the hospital for 4 days. And if you give birth via C-section, which is what happened with me, I was in there for 5 days, but I actually ended up going in 2 days earlier. So I was in the hospital for a week. And so after that, just getting the bill, I was like expecting it to be several thousand euros, but no, it was 175. And I was just like, whoa, which I was like, okay, I can do that. Let's have like 4 more kids,
Let's keep going.
I can shell out, like 175. That's not bad.
Yeah, France is so great for a lot of things, education, culture, healthcare.
Yes,
We're just loving all that for France and taking care of people. And that comes to my next question. So a lot of people are maybe thinking about relocating to France. Talk a little bit about some advice you would give them, the logistics, but also emotionally, what would you give them advice-wise?
Okay. Emotionally, I would say just if you have a thick skin, great. If not, work up to it. Emotionally, it can be a roller coaster. Like for me, moving to France was something I had wanted to do by the time I moved here, it was like 20 years. So it was really like, it was on my heart. It was something that I knew that I was going to do it. So I feel like I was emotionally and mentally prepared. And that obviously 20-year gap left me a lot of time to do a lot of research. And because it has its ups and downs. I know something, even though, I've been here for 5 years, something I still struggle with is around like the holidays and when, if there's special occasions going on or if there's like a big milestone or something, missing family and not having them here is something that I still struggle with, and I think I probably will for a while because it's I'm the only one of my family here. Like I have a great group of friends, but it's just not the same. As far as like tips, I would probably say patience will be your best friend. Especially if it's like you're moving to France, the administrative system can be very long and very daunting, and it can be very frustrating at times, but don't give up. Just keep going, keep plowing forward. Invest in a very sturdy, like accordion file folder, because you will save literally every piece of paper that has something to do with your life forever and ever and ever. As well as a good scanner if you can, or like an application on your phone. Because what I learned was I had the digital copy of all of my paperwork and then a physical copy. And it was just easier that way, because sometimes I would get an email from the prefecture and they'd be like, oh, we need, this tax form or this family piece of paper. And I could just shoot it off right then and there. So that was very convenient. I would just say patience and being very organized, because coming to France, it's it can be a lot, especially with the paperwork.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. I mean, the patience and just don't give up, because sometimes it feels like nothing is working and then everything works. It's very confusing sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It is, because you'll be like, you'll feel like you're battling up against like, Goliath or like, some army. And it's just, then you'll just get a breakthrough. And it's like I had a friend recently who has been trying to get her visa renewed, and it was like literally past the deadline. She hadn't heard anything from her prefecture. She's like sending letters. She like went through, what is it, the Défenseur des Droits. Like she went through all of these channels, and then she just decided one day, she's like, well, I'm going to go on LinkedIn. And she started to try to find people that worked in her prefecture just to get some sort of answer, because she was about to lose her job because she didn't have any paperwork for her to work here. And she ended up getting a hold of somebody pretty high up in the prefecture, and within a couple hours her situation was like on the way to being fixed. So, where there's a will, there's a way. Think outside of the box, and yeah, you will prevail.
Yeah, definitely. I like that creativity. That's very smart.
I was like, I never would have thought to go that route, to be honestly.
Yeah, I would think it'd be like offensive or something like, don't contact me outside my working hours.
I know, right?
So talk a little bit about your blog, A Buckeye in Paris. What does it mean? What are you doing on there? Give us more information.
Yeah. So a Buckeye in Paris I'm from Ohio, which is also known as the Buckeye State. And I was trying to think of something kind of kitschy, kind of sort of, fun to call it. And I came up, during confinement one day, I was like, a Buckeye in Paris. That's perfect. So it stuck. I originally started it when I was getting married to my husband because we decided instead of getting married in Paris, we would do it in the States. As far as paperwork and timing was concerned, it would take less time to do it that route. So I started the whole process of trying to find all of the information, and it was pretty confusing because I'd have to go to like the consulate website and the embassy website, both in Washington, D.C., and then I'd have to like check the French government website here and then check like a bunch of other websites, and the information wasn't all in one place. And so I just started kind of cataloging and going through what I was going through, like the step-by-step process. And I figured I'm going to document it this way. And if someone else is going through the same thing and they stumble upon my blog and it helps them, fantastic. And I also really like writing. So that was kind of like a creative outlet for me. And it just kind of went from there. I really got into it during confinement here for like the first couple months of writing posts about, like what I was doing within my first year of like validating my visa, how like getting a carte vitale, how did I do that? Getting a bank account. Like that was something that really was a big stressor for me because I had heard as an American, the French weren't too keen on opening bank accounts because of everything that came along with being an American citizen as far as taxes are concerned and reporting. So I was like really stressed about that. And it ended up being super easy and I didn't have any issues. And so just writing about all of those different processes that I went through, and then I just kind of kept up with it and I really enjoyed it. I still write, like I am trying to now write more kind of, lifestyle stuff, if you will, of, I just wrote one about, grocery shopping in France and some of the differences that, you'll see compared to the United States. Two big things that, everybody notices is like eggs and milk are out on the shelf. And so like, don't be surprised, like it's okay. And I'm, trying to write a little bit more about of just, everyday life here. I still have a few ideas I want to do, but I just did a whole series on basically like being pregnant in France and what that entitles and what it looks like. And, like the different required doctor's appointments you go to, all of the like testing that you'll take, what sort of medications you're allowed, how foods that you can eat, that you can't eat, and different things like that. So it's kind of evolving because now we moved from Paris to the suburbs. So I've been exploring more out this way, and I'm wanting to kind of expand, not just as just a focus on Paris, but also to kind of outside of the city, because there's so much out here, if you will, to explore. I mean, there's so much inside Paris. You can't do it every single time. You can't do it in one trip.
Definitely. Yeah. There's so much information there, guys. You definitely have to check out her blog. I mean, it's everything you want to know. So check her out.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about how you navigate vulnerability online while still protecting your peace. Like, are there certain things you don't share or won't share?
I try to be as honest as possible because I feel like sometimes when you look online, you can you get this vision of life abroad as sort of this like rose colored, baguettes and champagne on the Seine and, picnics in the park 24/7. And it can be that, but also too, like there's a whole other side of life where you kind of have to work at it, and it can be a pain in the butt, and it's, giving you a headache. And I have quite a few more gray hairs than when I came over with, because of dealing with, hiccups that happen over here, and not just because I'm a foreigner, but the cultural difference too. So I try to be as honest as I can, but also still stay positive, because it's not this horrible thing, it's every story is different. Every person has a different story, and it affects them differently. And that's one thing I kind of try to always remind everybody is, this is my story and this is my experience. It may not be exactly like yours, but it could be similar. But here's maybe what I learned from this experience, or here's what I discovered after having gone through this. So I always say I'm an open book, and I will share whatever I can. I'm, I guess you could say I'm sort of a private person, but not really. I talk a little bit about my husband, and I've started talking a little bit more about my daughter, because I'm trying to navigate what works and what doesn't work, and what interests people. And I've had this big life change of becoming a mom, and I think every mother is always proud of their children regardless of the age. And so I'm not going to be posting baby pictures 24/7, because that just gets old after a while, even regardless of how cute the baby is.
You never get enough pictures of the baby.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah. So I try to stay as real as possible without sounding like, this is like doom and gloom, because it's not really doom and gloom.
Yeah. It's ups and downs, just like anything in life.
Yeah.
Especially France, tourists are always like, "Oh, you're living my dream. It's so amazing." And it's like, I always tell everybody, just visit. Maybe don't move here. Come for 3
Exactly.
months
Yeah.
and leave.
And even too, living here for 3 months is different, coming here for 3 months and being here, being present, doing life here for that time is different than being here for a year, because, I was here 23 years ago as an exchange student in high school. You can do the math for how old that is. But even then, I had a host family and everything, and it was rough. There were times where it was I remember I was just, frustrated with, the first time I came upon a train strike, I was standing at the train station. I think I waited over an hour for the train, and I couldn't understand what was going on, because I didn't speak the language very well at that point, and nobody was around to kind of tell me what was happening. And finally, this one person was just like, "Oh, there's a strike going on. There aren't any trains today." And I started panicking because I was late for school. So
yeah, it's things like that you just wouldn't know unless you live here with a purpose of being here, other than just 3 months of vacation. 3 months of vacation is lovely. Go to the market, just cool, have fun, don't deal with administration. That's really fun. Do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So talk about this women's group you created. It's a kind of like a support group, a network. Tell us more.
Yeah. So I created something called the Sorority Network. 2 years ago, I had started something called the Afterwork, and it's a monthly Afterwork meetup for female expats who live in Paris, or even anywhere in Ile-de-France if they want to come into the city or whatnot. And just kind of a moment out of your day, week, month, to meet up with other women who are here, who are not from here, if you will, to connect, to communicate, to commiserate sometimes. Because moving here, if you don't have friends or you don't know people here, and you're just kind of, you move here, it can be lonely at times, and it can be daunting. So I wanted to create this sort of space where, if you felt lost or you didn't really know a lot of people, this was a space where you could come and you could meet other women. And so that was doing really well. It still is. We're on summer break at the moment. But I wanted to do more. And so after talking with a couple ladies and just getting to know some women in the group, I got this idea of creating a sort of network I didn't know what that all entailed or how it would look, but I wanted to be able to take the resources of the women that are in the group and to be able to get it out to the masses, if you will. It's sort of women supporting women, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of freelancers. There's a lot of women who work like in big tech, or they work, for a big corporate company, and just kind of taking those resources, bringing it all together and making it available for everyone. So it's still in like the very beginning phase, I would say the early infancy phase of the creation. I'm working on creating a directory right now because I would like to be able to have something that's available for anybody who's looking to like move here or who has moved here. They can, pull up this directory, this list of like different services, different opportunities. So
That's such a great idea because, like you said, there's so many people here that have things to share and information, and it's such a great opportunity.
Yeah. So it's complete. I'm like completely in like the very beginning working phase, so I'm still putting everything together. But I'm really excited. It's a work in progress. So I'm stoked to see how it evolves.
And talk a little bit more about belonging. So, what does belonging mean to you now as an expat, a mom, a creative?
Belonging. I always used to think, for me, belonging was like I was sort of attached to something or somewhere or someone. Like I belong like at home. At home for me was Ohio, a small town, and that's where I belong. But after coming here and spending time here, belonging to me is to myself, and exploring the different paths and the different opportunities that come my way through that sense of self, if you will. I don't know if that's like too philosophical, but I don't feel like I belong anywhere or to anyone. I belong in the now. And so that is something that I try to focus on, which is another thing that's really difficult for me, is because I'm a planner and I like to plan and have things laid out. And if you saw my Google Calendar, you would completely understand. There's like everything is literally in the calendar. But for me, belonging is being in the here and now, and that's where I belong. And so trying to focus on what's in front of me, what I'm going through, and not focusing on the future in a sense where I need to focus on the future, but not spending as much time focusing on that as I used to. Really taking in, what's around me. I was never really a fly by the seat of my pants person, and I'm kind of that person right now where, if I wake up Tuesday and somebody's like, hey, I'm in Paris because I'm traveling through, let's get a coffee. I'm like, sure, let's do it, because, every moment is precious. And
Yeah. That's really beautiful. I love that. Like being in the moment. That's huge. Like belonging, you are your home. You belong with you. So it's like, that's pretty beautiful thing to think about. I love that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
And what has living in France taught you about yourself that you might not have discovered while back in Ohio?
That I am more resilient than what I give myself credit for. I am, in a sense, more of a rebel than what I thought I would be. I was always very quiet and timid back home. And here I have had to stand up for myself, speak up for myself, say things where, after I got done, I was just like, did I actually just have that conversation? A lot of it was through my job, my former job. I dealt with a lot of French administration, on a professional side. And so I really got to understand sort of how the French work and how to deal with them as far as how to confront them, if you will. And I never would have been comfortable doing that before. I would definitely not be the person to be like, oh, sure, let me give a phone call to this person over here because they're not responding to any of my emails. And I would have just kind of let it slide under the rug. But I have found out I am more of a go-getter, if you will, which has surprised me. But I'm really excited about these things that I have discovered about myself. It's every time something happens, I'm just like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think really moving to a foreign country or even anywhere where nobody knows you or tells you who you are, it's that happens, you know?
Yeah. It's like you have this like free hall pass, like because it's a clean slate. So you can kind of not really rebuild who you are, but if there's something that you are just unsure of about yourself or not really, like the type of person to, speak up first, that's something that you can do because nobody knows you and who cares because you're you.
Exactly. You can be completely free when you go somewhere where nobody knows you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And what's something about Paris that still feels magical to you even after all this time?
Goodness, that's a tough one. I would probably, I feel like this is going to be so cliche, but seeing the Eiffel Tower sparkle, like that still, like that gets me. Like there's just something about it. I can see the Eiffel Tower from my living room window and I'm always like, oh, is she sparkling? Is she sparkling? That's to me pretty magical. There's just something about it that every time no matter where I'm at, if I can see the Eiffel Tower, just kind of this like, moment happens.
Definitely. I think it's the same for me. Like we can see it from our kitchen and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, it's like
Exciting.
sometimes I'm like, is this my life? Like, is this for real? I was like, yep, no, it's for real. Yep, Sarah, this is real.
The Statue of Liberty. It's our Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, exactly.
Sparkling tower.
It is.
And how would you define creativity in your own words?
Creativity is the ability to take something, put your own twist or touch to it, and to have it become something else, to mold it into something different, to mold it into something that reflects you. Creativity is the freedom to express yourself in a variety of different mediums, if you will. It's the freedom to be yourself in a sense. To kind of go back to what I was saying earlier, it's definitely for me. It's the opportunity to let you shine as what you like either were made to do or meant to do, or whatever passion or whatever feeling like is deep in your heart to just have that flourish.
I love that. I think that's a beautiful note to end on. And talk a little bit about some projects you want to share with listeners and where they can connect.
So I've got the Sorority Network, which I'm really excited about. I had the idea of a podcast, which I recorded one session before I had a kid. And then I've got a couple other ideas like behind that I'm pretty excited about. One thing I'm pretty stoked on, and I'm speaking this more out into the universe, and I think it's just to kind of reassure myself that I'm doing the right thing. I'm going to open a coffee shop out here in the suburbs. So I'm really, really stoked about that. That's something that I've wanted to do for years. And at one point just put that idea on the back burner. It was like, I'm just comfortable working for other people. I don't want to open my own business because I've seen too much of what happens when it's like not properly managed, when just, bad things happen. And it's like, I've been doing this for 24 years, like food service. So I know kind of what to do and what not to do. But opening a coffee shop in a foreign country is a little intimidating. But you can keep tabs on everything through either my Instagram. That's probably where I'm a little more active, which is just a Buckeye in Paris. Or you could check out the blog. I frequently try to post about the Sorority Network, and they have their own Instagram too. But I try to keep everything kind of intertwined and interconnected, since it's all a part of me and who I am. So
wonderful. Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's very exciting. I can't wait to see the coffee shop.
yes.
And we'll share all of that in the show notes. And guys, make sure you follow along on her next adventure.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.